Welcome to the MEF2C cast, the podcast advocating for the MEF2C haploinsufficiency community by broadcasting the voices within. I'm Eli.
And I'm Haley. We are parents to a boy with MCHS and autism, sharing our journey with you throughout conversations grounded in learning, support, and community.
This is Advocacy Amplified. Do you have questions, comments, or a story to share? Want to be a guest on the show? Connect with the MEF2Ccast on Facebook, mef2ccast.com, or email us at mef2cast@gmail.com.
If you enjoy the show, please support us by subscribing to the show on Apple and Spotify, leaving us a review, and following us on social media. You can also buy MEF2Ccast merch at our Shopify store, linked in the podcast description. The MEF2Ccast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Views expressed are those of the hosts and guests and not necessarily of the podcast or its sponsors. This is not medical advice. Consult a healthcare professional for medical concerns.
Alrighty, hi everybody. Welcome to the MEF2C cast. Our guests today are Maddie and Max Kelly, who are Oscar Kelly's brother and sister. How are you guys today?
Good. How about you?
We're good. Thanks for asking.
I'm great.
Can you guys start by just telling us each a little bit about yourselves?
Maddie,
Max, do you want to
go
go first? I can go first. My name is Maddie. I'm 23. Max and I both grew up in Minneapolis, kind of a variety of places, but at least for me, I spent the majority of my childhood in Minneapolis. I work in conservation. I currently live on Kauai, taking care of injured native birds.
That would be his dream.
Well, yeah, I got really excited hearing that, but we won't get off track there.
My name is Max. I'm brother to Maddie and Oscar. Yeah, I was born in San Francisco. I grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I live in Los Angeles now. I work in film.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you guys are both older than Oscar, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So you guys also lived in Holland for a brief period of time when you were young?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where Oscar was actually born, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I remember your mom telling me about that. Can you start by just sort of telling us your earliest memories of Oscar and sort of what it was like being a young child with a sibling with special needs?
Sure. Yeah, we lived in Amsterdam for a couple years. We moved there in 2005. Now I have construction. I'm sorry if that's loud.
It's okay.
Okay, so we moved to Amsterdam in 2005. I was 6 years old at the time. Maddie was 3, 2,
I
probably
think
2.
so, yeah.
Two.
2 or 3.
And then while we were there, our little brother Oscar was born. We probably lived there for a year and he was born. And I think that, like, I'm sure my mom spoke to this, but the whole process of having a child in Amsterdam is very different. And I think especially different because he had special needs. But yeah, I mean, I was young and Maddie was even younger. I remember being really excited for my little brother to be born. I remember him coming home and my mom bringing him up the stairs to our apartment. And then, yeah, I mean, then I remember it was like those first couple months, everything seemed pretty normal. And then, I mean, I was hearing all this through my parents and it was all through their lens, but I remember kind of becoming aware of their concerns and their like early signs and symptoms. And I think that I could really, I think that they probably try to protect me, but I think that I can remember feeling a sense of like kind of like fear and discomfort and not knowing what's going on. And I think, yeah, like I said, my parents, I think, did a really good job of not trying to get me involved in that because there was obviously, it wasn't anything I could do. But I remember that feeling and I remember how stressful that was for my parents and then in turn stressful for me. And I remember, yeah, I mean, especially my mom and just like, you know, Oscar was crying a lot, and I think as all babies do, but especially, and I think that, yeah, that's my early memories with Oscar. Is I just remember those early signs, and then, yeah, just like general kind of like fear and like I can't find the word right now, but yeah.
How about you, Maddie? What was your earliest memory that you can think of?
I was a lot younger, but I feel like most of what I remember is more like material conditions than like things that my parents said to me. I remember spending a lot of time with him like on a play mat. And I have very distinctive memories of how he looked and how he sounded and what it was like to be around him. I have a lot of memories of like to and from the hospital, especially being at the hospital. And I have very distinctive memories of him hitting milestones because everyone was so excited about that. I can remember like him learning how to, we have a family video that's just called Oscar Learns How to Bang Things. It's just him like smashing stuff together. But we were so excited about that. I think I have a lot of memories of those things, but not so much like I didn't have an ability so much to recognize that things were wrong until I think he got a little bit older.
So when did you start to realize that he was different? Because like I know as a parent, like I was never really around babies before, and I have no idea like what a typical development is supposed to be like because my only real experience with babies has been Leo. So like as a kid, you're the same way. You have no idea what kids are supposed to be doing. So when did that kind of reach your understanding that he was different?
It definitely was explained to me what was going on. I had some awareness that there was going to be things that were different and things were going to go differently. I think I remember most distinctively like me realizing like, oh, this is a thing that I'm going to have to explain to other people was when he took an extra year to start school. And then when he did start school, it was a very different experience than I had had. And I started kindergarten at this same school district that Oscar and I both went to. And it was very different. He was in a very different class than I was. And that is when I realized, I think.
Yeah.
I think for me, I remember when we were moving to Minneapolis and asking why. And I remember a big motivator being because Oscar's care will be better in Minnesota. And I think that was a big moment for me when I realized kind of the nature of, I think Maddie makes a really good point is that it was the milestones along the way and then I think it was explained to me. Yeah.
So is your memories of Oscar when you were young, like, are those memories stressful? Are they positive? Like, sort of what was your dynamic? I mean, I'm sure it's both, but what was your dynamic with him, sort of growing up?
You want to go, Maddie?
I can. It definitely took me some time to really figure out how to communicate with him and have a relationship with him, which I don't like saying. That makes me sad. And it's gotten a lot better as I've gotten older, and I think I've made more effort. I mean, which is true, I think, in general of people and their siblings. You put in more effort to the relationship as you get older because you realize how important it is. We were busy, but there was also just a lot of kids in our house. Growing up, it was me, Max, and Oscar, but for 8 years in there, my mom had a partner that had 3 kids, and they were in and around our house a lot. So I think it was easy to feel like Oscar's just another somewhat chaotic addition to the family. It really didn't. I think to me, it was obvious he's the kid that needs the most help, but I don't think it felt weird just because our house was so crazy all the time.
It was just your normal.
Yeah, it was normal. I mean, it felt normal. And hanging out with Oscar when he was younger was a lot of him and I are not that far apart in age. So he was watching stuff when he was younger, that was at the time, chronologically age appropriate. When he was really little and he was watching Sesame Street, I'd watch that stuff with him. And I remember growing up, I don't even know if you could describe it as a game, but I felt like I knew what was going on in his head better. And as I've gotten, there wasn't a lot of communication at play. It was more just I put in effort to making him laugh. That was the way I connected with him. It didn't go super far beyond that. I mean, we didn't fight. Sometimes I'd do things that annoyed him and he'd pull my hair, but that's kind of the extent of it. We did get to do fun stuff that I don't think most kids would have done because of Oscar. Weird stuff. Adaptive sledding. But we also there was a distance because he couldn't do some of the stuff that we did. We traveled a lot to see our dad because our parents got divorced when Max was probably 11. I don't know. I was 7.
Right.
And we were always flying across the country to see him, and Oscar often did not come with us because we were unaccompanied minors and it just wasn't logistically possible. And in some ways there, I feel like I missed out on time and experiences with him.
That's really well said, Maddie. I think I want to add to what you said about about figuring out ways to communicate and spend time with him. And like, I'm still working on that, I think is the truth. And I think I work on that with everyone, but I think Oscar's a good example of it because you have to put in a lot of extra effort, and normal communication and normal time, ways you spend time with other people doesn't work as well. It's an exercise, and I'm always trying to be better at that and be closer with Oscar. And I think, yeah, like I was a kid, so I wasn't putting in that much effort, I don't think. And I wish I did, but I was a kid. I'm not gonna beat
You didn't
myself up
know any
about that.
different.
But yeah, I think it was through my mom. Like I think for a long time, just feeling really, I need to help mom, and I need to
Yeah.
be there for Oscar and for mom. And I think that's still true too. I mean, I think as I get older, it becomes more aware of that. But I think
Yeah, connecting with him and communication was probably hard, but I know from talking to Blake that he likes to be a little bit of a smart aleck. Did you guys, like, help him with that, with his device at all?
I think that
Or
might
was
have been
that
all
just
him.
more on his
I
own?
think that might have been all him.
With
I mean, I think we as a family are a very sarcastic family, and I think we're
Yeah.
always trying to be the funniest person in the room. And Oscar is a part of that family, so I think
you
he's
picked up
right
on
in
that.
there with it. And yeah,
Well, that makes sense if your primary way to connect with him is to make him laugh, right? That you would just try to be funny all the time. So you talked about like feeling like you needed to help your parents. How did they talk about it to you, and sort of how did they frame that? Were you guys, did they say like, I need your help with this? Were you helping with Oscar a lot, or did you just sort of that responsibility come from something internal, or like just in general, how did they sort of talk about Oscar's disorder with you?
it's a great question. I think that, like I said before, I think my parents always tried to protect me and tried to let me live my own childhood, which was an incredible blessing. And I think a lot of work on their part. But I mean, obviously, when someone, yeah, I think a lot of it was kind of trying to be helpful and knowing and being understanding of that there's certain things we can and can't do because of Oscar when Oscar has certain needs. Maddie mentioned our parents' divorce. I think that was a big turning point in that. I think my dad moving and not being in the house and not being able to be as helpful, there was a certain element of me needing to step up there. And there was other people, and we're very blessed to have PCAs and like Maddie mentioned, my mom's longtime partner and lots of other people. But I think that was like definitely a moment when it became more and more apparent that my mom needs help and that I need to be there for her and Oscar.
I don't feel like, I mean, based on just my friends who have younger siblings who don't have a genetic condition, I don't feel like, in terms of chronologically hours, I was asked to help more than is normal for someone who has a younger sibling. I think the form of help was different, like having to know how to administer emergency seizure medication at age 10 is like a little bit unusual, I would say. And I think maybe is more of a mental burden than is usual. But my parents, I think, did a really good job of letting me have my own childhood. And I'm younger than Max, and I don't remember a lot from even really before my parents got divorced. But at least, like, in middle school and high school, I can't remember a time that I wanted to, like, do an extracurricular or something, and somebody told me, "You can't do that because of Oscar," or really, "You can't do that at all," and I feel really blessed for that. That is, I think, was very intentional and required a lot of effort. Max mentions our PCAs. We had a lot of PCAs in and around the house, partially, because of the care hours that we can get through the state of Minnesota, which is also a blessing. But I was also a kid, and a lot of those PCAs were very much felt like they were taking care of me too, or they literally were taking care of me too. And that was a huge help. And I don't think my childhood would have been possible without those people around. And a lot of them worked for us for years and feel like family members in some ways. But I had to help with some things, but really not excessively. And I think now that I'm an adult, it's like the ways we can help are like fixing his stuff when it's broken or trying to come up with stuff for him to do. Or like when we do family outings, it's nice to be able to get him in and out of his chair and stuff so my mom doesn't have to do it because she's doing that all the time. Neither Max or I live in Minnesota right now.
I'm sure that takes a big burden off of your mom when you're around too. Just Leo's only 40 pounds, but me hauling him around all the time weighs on me a lot, so I could understand for her.
I wanna reiterate what Maddie said too, which is that we were very lucky, and I think that we were Oscar was always yeah, I never felt like anything I was asked to sacrifice or do was even close to unreasonable. I mean, it was like yeah, I think I gotta give credit to my parents and the PCAs as well.
It sounds like your mom and or your parents and everybody had a pretty good understanding of not letting you guys fall through the cracks, and just allowing you guys to have a normal childhood. And it takes a lot of, thinking about these things as a parent to be able to put that kind of stuff into place too. So it's kind of what we're
Absolutely,
gonna
and,
have
like,
to.
I feel like I'm recognizing that more and more even still as I get older. Like, I think when you're a kid, you're just
Yeah.
being a kid, and you're just living but, yeah, looking
But
back
you
and
appreciate it.
retrospectively and now that I'm older and I'm more involved and I am able to help more, realizing those things, what those other people were doing and
Yeah.
still are.
When you're also close in age, like, it's probably really good for Oscar to have people his age that he can just hang out with. Like, I know from nonverbal people that I have seen communicate in other ways, like, really what they wanna do is have normal experiences. So, like, to just be able to hang out with people his age and,
Yeah,
that might be the best thing you can do for him now, so.
I know when my mom was on, she mentioned he has one PCA in particular that works at his school and then also comes and works with him at home. I do want to give a lot of credit to him. I think he's literally is in my grade. Like I graduated with him and then he went on to work at our school with his class. And he has done a good job of like reminding even me how much Oscar can enjoy chronologically age appropriate media. I had tried to watch when I was a kid, I was really into anime. And I tried to watch it with Oscar a couple of times and I didn't feel like he was super interested and I gave up. We just watched other stuff. But this PCA, I don't know if I am want to air him his life by saying his name, but he has discovered so many things that Oscar is into that I'm also into. And I'm like, I did not know this about you, Oscar. And now we have this in common, which is really special. And I think taught me that it's okay to experiment and expose him to things that he might not like. Just like pay attention. That's the
Right.
only way that his horizons can get expanded. And it's worth the effort. I think as a family, we've all been trying to do that more.
Mhm.
And I think it's paid off.
Yeah, and you guys are like, your mom probably doesn't have as good of an understanding as you guys of what someone Oscar's age should be into because she's his mom, you know what I mean? Like,
right,
you guys are have a much better sense of sort of the culture of someone your age, I guess.
totally.
Did you ever feel any resentment or anything like that as a kid or even as a teenager? I know teenage people are rather emotional. So do you remember any feelings of resentment and in your teenage years?
I feel like resentment is a really harsh word.
Yeah. Maybe
Um
confusion would be a better
But, yeah,
word?
I mean, it was confusing. It still is confusing. I still have feelings, and I still am, like, have concerns and worries and, yeah, I mean, I think as a kid, when you have any sibling, there's a level of, like, "No, I have to share my attention with from my parents," and I
Yeah.
think it's probably exemplified with the special needs kid and sibling. But it's really, like, yeah, I don't feel like I ever was mad at Oscar. I don't even think I was ever mad at I mean, I think it was pretty apparent it was no one's fault. I think it was, like, some internal work I had to do. But, yeah, I don't think resentment. I think it's a complicated thing, and yeah, when you're a kid, you don't necessarily have the context and the understanding to be as patient with things, and, yeah, I mean, I think it's, like, hard not to love your brother, right? So, I think
Oscar's hard to be mad at. He's
right,
really
and
hard to be
he's
mad at.
so exactly, he's impossible to be mad at. I mean, if you think if you're getting frustrated in the abstract and then you spend 1 minute with Oscar, I mean, he's just the happiest guy,
Mhm.
and he's just so grateful to be spending time with you. It's like, how could you possibly resent someone like that? I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, you could be frustrated with a situation without assigning
Right.
blame to anybody.
Totally, and I don't think I yeah, I think there was but I also don't I mean, I don't think that I spent a lot of time really frustrated about the situation either, which I think is another testament to the other people in my and Oscar's life that allowed me to do my own thing. And
Yeah, that's super special to be able to have that perspective on that. Having a special needs sibling could just, allow you to have a lot more resentment or, harsh feelings towards that thing as a child. But it sounds like your parents and all the people around you have allowed you guys to have a positive outlook on it. Um,
I
well, go ahead.
I don't think there's a lot of resentment, but I definitely could understand that feeling in kids. It's a lot. I think the emotional pressure of caring so much for somebody who's medically challenged, like I could see that manifesting in a lot of ways. And I think that would be really understandable. Yeah.
not sure there's any wrong way to feel about
Yeah.
someone with special needs in your family. I think you got to be accepting and you gotta be honest is probably the key there. Yeah. I think that even from a young age, like, Oscar taught me a lot of things about, like, me and myself and life. He continues to offer such perspective on the things that matter, and I think that's unavoidable. And, like, even as a kid, I think that was that was probably that's a big part of me is learning acceptance and understanding and patience from Oscar, and I'm so grateful for that. I think that
Too.
Oscar has made me such a better person, and he makes everyone who spends time with him a better person for those same reasons.
Ever feel like you had to be more protective, maybe, in school or
The crazy thing is I don't think at any point went to the same school. We went to different elementary schools. Because he went to one that was wheelchair accessible, and the one that I had been initially enrolled in wasn't. And then by the time he got to middle school, I was already in high school. We had a lot of the same, especially because he did band. We had a lot of the same teachers. I think in terms of standard programming, we did not have the same teachers, but I definitely felt protective at times. When stuff was going on with like the alternative education program at my school, I definitely felt very strongly about it. And when he wanted to do band and there was some advocacy involved in that, I was like all in. I was ready to be really mad when it didn't work out. Like, I was gonna throw a fit about it. I think also this kind of ties to how much I do feel like being around Oscar has made me a more empathetic and patient and fearless person. I was like a very anxious child, and you can't anxious and shy child, and you like cannot go out into public with Oscar and not have people look at you. So that took a long time to get used to, but I think now I'm very used to people just looking at me and having thoughts and having maybe even comments, and I just don't care. But I have noticed when I bring new people into my life and I try to introduce them to Oscar, 90% of the time they're weird about it. And it doesn't come from like a hateful or a mean place, but like a scared, I don't know what to do in this situation place. Because I think most people, especially young people, haven't spent a lot of time interacting one-on-one with someone who communicates differently or is visibly chronically ill. And I find myself getting upset about that a lot. When somebody I like and respect meets him and like is kind of weird about it at first, it's understandable, but it bothers me. And I find myself when I introduce him to people or when I describe him to people, they're like, well, you obviously love him so much. Like the way you talk about him is so glowing. I'm like, that is genuinely how I feel about him. But it's also like, I want you to like him.
Mhm.
And sometimes it feels hard to get people to see him and
When
be
you
normal
say
about it.
when you say weird about it, what do you mean?
Like uncomfortable or they don't know how to talk to him or they just seem tense when they're in the room with him. And I'm like, he is actually the most chill person possibly on this planet Earth. Like, you don't need to be tense. He's not going to explode. I
I
definitely
think
get
people
sensitive about sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna add, I feel like people almost get more weird or awkward when I'm just telling them about Oscar. I feel
Yeah.
like when people actually get the opportunity to meet him, maybe not right away, but if they can spend 5 minutes with him, often that is kind of fades away and it becomes much more normal. But in my experience, when I tell people I have a special needs brother, which if I'm honest, sometimes I just don't even bring up because I feel like it's that conversation is so uncomfortable for people.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone knows what to say. And I can't really blame them I'm not sure I would know
Yeah.
what to say. I'm not sure I would know how to act around Oscar if I had never met him. I don't think there's malice there, but yeah, for sure, the people always have strange and different reactions there. Sorry, Maddie, keep going.
No, that was good. That was helpful and very true. It is like, I tell people, like, I have 2 brothers, or actually, like, 3 brothers. And because I have, step siblings that aren't step siblings. And people are like, people who have never met any of my family, like my coworkers, are like, "Oh, I can't remember which brother is which." I'm like, they actually could not be more different. And you would know that if you'd met them or seen photos. It would be easier for you to remember. But it's definitely when people ask me about my family and I talk about Max, they're like, "Oh, cool. Like, he works in film in LA." And then I talk about Oscar and it's like, clam up. They don't know what to say. And I'm like, hey,
Or people will do the like, I knew someone who had special needs once. I'm like, I'm like, oh, that's crazy. That's awesome.
It's kind of weird that people are so weird about it because it's not like, obviously individually MEF2C is incredibly rare, but like disabilities in general aren't rare at all. Like you'd think people would have more experiences with people like that. But um the way you have to look at it too is those are all opportunities to educate people that
yeah,
Oscar and people like him are just normal people. Their physical capacities might be limited, but that doesn't mean that they're any, you know, their personalities are limited in any way.
Totally.
The other thing is it's better for them to say just get weird than to say negative things because
yeah.
some of the things that people have told us that people have said to them, we've never had anything rude said to Leo yet, but it just unbelievable what people will say. Not even like there are some instances people have told us about where people like literally yell like the R word at their child and like get that R word out of here. But there's also just like people who say completely what they could perceive to be completely innocuous comments and like it's just completely out of pocket. I don't understand it, but
I feel so lucky. I listened to an episode of you guys and I heard, yeah, I feel like, and even going back to what you were saying about being protective of Oscar, like, I feel like I can't even really think of an example of someone being nasty to Oscar or our family. And that is such a blessing. And I think that's so awful to hear. I cannot imagine. I mean, there's already so much going on, and it takes so much to just be there for Oscar and to live, you know, whatever normal life you can to have. Yeah. I'm sure my mom has examples of people being especially weird or maybe kind of nasty or out of pocket. But I think that I wasn't there for those. And that's, but I
When
also
I
think I want
heard,
to say, like, what you were saying, like, as an opportunity to educate, like, that is, like, such a blessing that Oscar has to give to the world in a way that I was saying where I think Oscar has done so much for me, and if he's able to share that gift and just, like, by being around other people, even if it's just for a second, like, that's totally worth any uncomfortable moment or whatever.
mhm.
the people in my life that have taken like really an interest in Oscar and asked me about him, and I can tell really enjoy his company, makes me really happy. And it makes me respect them a lot. Like, I have, Max, I don't know if you've had one of these. My mom has them a lot. I've had them a couple times. Dreams where Oscar is talking.
Oh
My
yeah, I've had those too.
my best friend has those a lot. And it makes me so happy because I'm like, you obviously feel about him the way that I do. And it's a privilege for her to have to care about him so much and to get to spend time with him. And I wish the same for other people. I hope that people know the joy of having somebody like Oscar in their lives. And I love introducing him to people for that reason, even if it's sometimes weird.
Yeah, I mean it works the other way too, where I find Leo is an excellent judge of character. Like if he doesn't care for someone, then I don't have much time for him either.
Even at 3.
Yeah. Yeah, but I totally understand what you're saying about, like, wanting people to like him. My best friend since kindergarten stopped by the house a few months ago. We're adults, so we only get to see each other once every 6 months, but Leo just climbed right up in his lap, and I could have cried. I was just so happy that
Yeah.
they were getting along so well.
Leo's liked him from day one, though.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes hard to pry Leo from my arms, like, he doesn't wanna be away from me. If I could envelop him, I think he would be the happiest that he could ever be. But for him to go to somebody when I'm around is super special too.
And, you don't know you'll appreciate this, Maddie. Like, you don't know what connections you could make with someone like that. So I'm friends with his name's Andrew. He's an adult with a MEF2C, and I bought him because he likes books. But there aren't like adult appropriate picture books necessarily. But there are. I bought him Birds of North America by John James Audubon, which like
Yeah, I'm
I'm an
familiar.
animal nerd, and no one else in my life wants to hear me go on and on about these birds, but me and Andrew can look at these pictures in this book and have a great time. So you never know what connections might come up out of things like that.
What was
That
the
makes
other
me
one that you
really
sent to
happy.
him?
Oh, I
What a
just sent him
sweet story.
the photo arc. I don't know if you
Yeah.
know about that. Yeah.
Mm, the organization I work for is in the photo art book.
Yeah, I worked in a crayfish lab in college, and they came and took some pictures there too.
Yeah. Awesome.
So
That
funny.
makes me really, really happy to hear. That's a great story.
Yeah. So how you talked a little bit about your friend. How was your social life affected growing up by uh, having Oscar as your brother?
I don't think a lot. Definitely like getting mad at my friends when they were being loud outside of his room. I'm like, you're gonna wake him up. But I don't think it prevented me from doing anything I wanted to do. But it definitely offered different experiences. Like I did stuff that I would not normally do. And I think of like taking my friends and Oscar we lived in Minnesota, so the Mall of America, to go to the aquarium is like perhaps something I would not have been doing as much if he wasn't in my life. Or taking my friends like to light shows. Oscar loves lights and big flashy stuff. And those are like actually really precious memories and things that I wouldn't have done if he wasn't in my life. And I think that's special and fun. I don't know. Max, do you have any insights?
I feel like my social life was not affected negatively, like at all, if I'm being honest. I feel like maybe I like my mom was busier, so I didn't get like as much rides to people. I don't know. I felt like I really seriously I was like so great. I had an awesome childhood and teenagehood, and Oscar was a part of that, and he was not. I don't think he was a hindrance in any way. Yeah, and like I guess I'll say like meeting. So I met a lot of people through Oscar too, like as his PCAs or like as teachers that became
Yeah.
around the house, and like have awesome memories with those people, and really care and love for those people still, regardless whether they still work with Oscar or not.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, we say all the time that like we have met some of the most amazing people through Leo already, and that's a good point that you had there.
He's brought some really awesome people into our lives that I'm so grateful to have met.
The type of people that are really good PCAs, or just even the type of people that really can connect with Oscar and spend time with him, are like just the best people. They're better than me. Like
They're cooler than me.
I look up to those people and I aspire to be like them, and Oscar attracts them.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you have to have like and I don't know if it's something different about their brains. I don't know if it's because they can't speak. They just learn to pick up on more subtle forms of communication much better. But you have to have like a genuineness and a vulnerability for people like Oscar to let you in. Like that goes back to the judge a character thing I was saying. Like if you're like phony or sort of patronizing at all, it's all right. Don't worry about it. They're gonna pick up on that, and they're just gonna sniff it out right away.
It's refreshing. I feel like it is. It's like so grounding and it's so honest, and I feel like it sets a bar for authenticity that is so awesome. And like I have known Oscar his whole life, and I feel like sometimes if I don't spend time with him or I haven't seen him for a couple months, I get to hang out with him, I'm reminded of the things that are really important. I don't know what exactly I'm gonna say here, but like I think I actually haven't. I know you guys interviewed my mom. I'm not sure what she said about this or didn't, but I like feel like there's something I often think about with Oscar, which is like how lucky he was to be born into our family, and specifically my mom's
Mhm.
family. And like my mom is like the most loving, caring like she has like maybe too much love in her heart. And I
Definitely.
think, I just wanna give her her flowers, and I wanna speak for her. I don't know if she I don't know yeah, I don't think she would ever say this about herself, but, like, Oscar's life and all of our lives have been so incredible because of my mom, and I think there's something beautiful about the way it all worked out and that they got paired together and that they, yeah, and I'm sure my mom would say a lot of the same things about the how awesome Oscar is and how much of a benefit he's had on her life, but I just wanna speak to that real quick.
Yeah, I'm
She'd
sure
probably
she's
say the
gonna
same
cry
thing
when
about
she
us.
hears that too.
She will. She's astounding. She's just an endlessly giving person. And I think with Oscar, it is a Herculean amount of effort to make his life awesome. And she does it every day, all the time, and is happy about it. And then she is constantly taking on other things. It's just
That's what I mean, like,
we foster dogs.
she might have too much
She's
love in
like
her heart, yeah.
she has too much. She's got Oscar and, like, 7 dogs in the house, and I think it has I mean, I don't work with humans, but I work a care job now, and I can't imagine I would have ended up like this if not for her and the influence that Oscar has had on me. Most of my friends I live in a kind of a small island, and most of my friends here are field biologists, and they tell me all the time, like, "I could not do your job." The emotional effort and the consistency that it requires to take care of a living thing that needs help, like, I don't think I could do it, and I'm like, "I know why I can. I inherited it from my mother, and she modeled it every day for me for, however 23 years." Yeah, yeah. I feel really blessed to be a member of my family, and my mom and Oscar really are perfect for each other.
It's a really, like, it's such a beautiful, symbiotic relationship between them. Yeah, I mean, my mom is, like, I think still so hard on herself after she does so much for all of
Oh
us.
my god.
Uh, yeah, it's a lot for anyone, but my mom is I can't imagine anyone that'd be better for the job. Yeah.
So, what advice would you have for parents of multiple kids, one of whom has MEF2C, to sort of make sure in parenting their typical child? And then what advice would you have for other siblings like you guys out there?
It's a great question.
I wish I had been more in touch with my feelings growing up, which is hard when you're a kid. But I think I didn't know how I felt about a lot of stuff, like my parents' divorce and growing up with Oscar until I was like 18. Really processed all of that. I wish I had thought more about how I felt about things and communicated it. And my only gripe growing up with your parents, which I think is a gripe that all kids have, is sometimes you say things to your parents and they don't listen to you. So listen to your typical kids and hear them out and ask them how they feel about things. And when you make a decision, think about how it's going to affect them and talk to them about it. But obviously, try not to frame it in a way that like your sibling's existence is taking this away from you because you don't want to pit your kids against each other like that, and I'm grateful that that wasn't a feature in my life. Max, do you have anything?
I feel like I would just advocate for transparency and honesty the whole way through, which is obvious, but I think different parents have different strategies there. I just think that, like, this especially is just such a, like, complex I mean, growing up yeah, I think just, like, listen to your kids, basically. I'm basically saying what Maddie said. Yeah, I had something else too.
Don't you hate when that happens?
I think yeah.
I would s I guess for siblings and parents, I would say, like, be fair to yourself, and
Yeah.
you can't I think you have to have realistic expectations and honest
Mhm.
conversations with yourself about your feelings and things you can and can't do, and I think raising any kid, you're gonna make mistakes, and I think that you're gonna make kids or mistakes raising a special needs kid, and that's okay. Same goes for siblings. You're not gonna yeah.
I think it's really important for parents to acknowledge the toll that it takes on themselves and understand that you can't do anything. I know my mom talked about this when she was on, but like she feels a lot of guilt doing things for herself that don't involve Oscar, and that stuff is really important. You can't be at your best if you're not taking care of yourself and making yourself happy, and your kids notice that, and they'll like, I'm not, when my mom is not happy, I'm incapable of being happy. Like, those things are inextricably tied. If she's in a crappy mood, I feel I'm not stoked. I'm not happy.
Yeah, especially when you're living in the same house.
Yeah. I think because I'm so grateful for everything she did for us growing up, it's so important to me that she takes care of herself and she does nice things for herself. And the same is true of your more typical kids. Like, I think when Max or I had problems growing up, when I did have problems, they were addressed. I'm fine. But I think sometimes it is like, I can see how it would be challenging to take a typical kid's non-urgent, non-life-threatening problems and hold them on par with a kid like Oscar's problems. I think there are a couple times where I got away with things that I probably shouldn't have gotten away with because there was just more pressing matters at hand, and that's okay. But I think your kids will notice if something is going on in their life and attention is not being paid to it. I mean, I don't have seizures, but if I'm having a hard time at school, think about the extra burden of living with Oscar. Try to hold it to account. I don't know. I don't know what I
Yeah.
mean by that, but
Yeah, we talk about on the show quite often that, like, obviously you wanna do everything you can to help your kid, but running yourself and or your entire family into the ground to, make sure you're getting to therapy 5 times a week or this or that other thing is that's not gonna do anybody any good in a few years when you've completely burned out, you
yeah.
and or your family or whatever. So, you have to sometimes you have to deprioritize those things in the short term to prioritize them in the long term. So I think that's kind of the balance that you were speaking to.
It's a marathon, not a race.
Yes. Well, not a sprint. A
That's
marathon's still a race,
it's
but
still race, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Not a sprint. And that's true for everyone. Yeah.
I've never
For
met
the other members of your family too.
a member of any special needs family that I'm like, you're not trying hard enough, I feel like.
that's an excellent point. That's an outstanding point, actually. Yes.
That's really funny.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, we're gonna wrap this thing up here. But thank you guys so much for your time and your insights, letting us take you through this little therapy session here. Do you have anything else to add, dear?
I don't.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, as always, if anybody wants to get a hold of us, they can reach out on Facebook. They can email us at mef2cast@gmail.com. mef2cast.com, and check out our Shopify store if you want to get a t-shirt and support the show. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.